Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I am doing a full face of Colourpop today, and the reason I'm sure most of you have clicked on the video is because I will be including the new foundation that they just released. So because I feel like there's a lot to get to, and because, you know, there's a whole like wear test that has to happen, all that other stuff, let's get into the video. So I've already filled my brows in using their brow color in black and brown. I would go right into eyeshadow. I've already primed my eyes using their concealer, but I'm going to use their crystal priming spray first. When I was looking up if they had primers, this spray came up, so yeah. I guess I'm going to, what's the directions? Shake me, hold me at arm's length, and spray. So. It smells like watermelon when you get to like the very core of it, you know, when you've already eaten everything else and you're like at the core of the watermelon. That's what this smells like. Alright, let's help this dry along. For eyeshadow, I'll be using the Shayla Perception palette, and we're just going to start it off with this orange right here. And I'm just going to place that right here. If you've seen my video on this palette, then you already know how I feel about it. Actually, even though this is trying a full face of Colourpop, I want to say like 60% of what you're going to see in this video I've tried. Actually no, maybe 40% of what I've tried in this video I've already done videos on. So I've already done a video on this palette if you'd like to check that out and see what I think about it. But if you've seen it, then you know I'm not that happy using this orange. And then put this red right on top of that. I feel like the orange and the red are a night and day difference when it comes to color payoff. And then take a little bit of this color for my crease, both for my crease and my outer corner. The problem is with this palette, I don't remember which shades were the ones that you were fine, like you don't have to worry, and then which ones like you might need to dig a little bit more in the palette. So I'm treating them all the same, just starting off slow and building my way up. But I think this brown was fine. And then I'm going to use this shade called Shade as my lid color. Alrighty then, so on to the star of the show. This is the Colourpop No Filter Foundation. This retails for $12 for 0.85 fluid ounces. I bought it in the shade 195 Dark Deep because they have a chart which I will either insert here or in the video, or you know, leave a link in the description where you can go see it on Colourpop's page. But they basically have a chart where they say, you know, if you are this shade, that shade, and this shade, then this is the shade that you should get. So they said that if you are 450 in Fenty and 6W2, I believe, in the Estee Lauder foundation, then you should get this shade. So that is why I got it. But let's see if they were right. Alrighty then. So that is 2 pumps on the back of my hand. It is quite runny, so I'm going to go ahead and quickly put it on my face. You know, I'm seeing a little undertone that might make me a little suspicious right now, but let's blend it all in first before I say anything. Alrighty then, so this is what the foundation looks like on my face. We're just gonna move right along to concealer. For concealer, I'll be using the shade Deep 70. I have a whole video on their concealers. I know they came out with new shades, but because my issue with the concealers wasn't really a shade the first time around, then it was the formula. I figured there was no point in getting a new one just for a new shade if I knew I didn't really care for the formula, but I am going to use it for this video. You might have noticed that there wasn't any foundation under my eyes. I stopped putting the foundation under there for 2 reasons. One, because I started using that Tatcha brightening illuminating product, so that's where I put it after I put my foundation, and because I just noticed that it kind of helps with concealer not creasing under my eyes, the less product that's under there, which kind of makes sense. And because I know that this concealer creases as well, I didn't put any foundation under there. And I'm talking and I'm not really sure what I'm saying, just because I know that this also dries low-key kind of quick, so your girl is low-key moving kind of fast. So some other stars to the show are their new loose setting powders. I bought the translucent shade, which is more cream than white, which is good because if it was white I'd be a little worried. Might still be a little worried. And their medium deep shade, so I'm going to use this one to set my under eye and then this one to set my entire face. Alright, so I'm not going to do any baking. I'm just going to push the powder in where I should be setting my concealer. And then just go in with medium deep, and that is the color without me spilling the entire thing. So I was on their website and I realized that they don't have a contour for me, but I was like, wait a minute, let me find out. Colourpop has a bronzer that my skin tone can use. I don't know what shade this is because the shade is on the bottom of the actual pan in here. You have the option of just buying the shade or buying the shade and this little container. I think you can tell which one that I did. So I'll leave it in the description what shade this is, but this is the bronzer. Okay, so I'm gonna use this to bronze my face. I also bought one of their blushes. This is also, you can either buy the pan or you can buy the pan and the little container to put it in. So I'm just gonna put that on. And then for highlighter, I'm gonna use the loose powder highlighter in Pose. I'm sure that's what's called. This highlighter is also part of their collaboration with Shayla, and a little thing on loose highlighters. Loose highlighter plus Fix Plus equals, just in Shayla's words, Metro Boomin highlight. Alright, space, we'll see it. So I'm gonna line my lips using Anyways, and you're just gonna do a little bit of this, a little of that, and then, sorry, I'm an overgrown child. And I'm going to use Ceci to fill that in. I believe both these colors are part of their Ellery collaboration. Apply it there and a little bit here. So I know they don't sell lashes, but I was feeling today's look, so I was like, all right, let me go ahead and add lashes on there. And I did an inner and an outer corner highlight there. It's the same color on both sides. But you know, there's a first for everything. So this is what my full face of Colourpop looks like. It is currently 11:53, so I'll be back later so you can see how my face held up throughout the day and give my thoughts on the foundation, the powders, and just Colourpop in general. Okay, so I am back and it is now 5 o'clock on the dot. Yeah, you know, I don't foresee anything that I have to say changing anytime soon, and it is hot. Okay, I want to take a shower. I want to take a shower before the shower that I have to take before I go to bed, so I had to wrap this video up. It's been 5.5 hours and this is what my face is looking like. So for the products that I've already done exact videos on, like the brows, the eyeshadow palette, the concealer, the lipsticks, you know, I won't spend too much time on those. I'm just focusing on the things that were really new to me, which the biggest one being the foundations. Yeah, this is what my face is looking like just 5 hours in. As far as the finish, it is a soft matte finish foundation. I don't typically care for, you know, those soft mattes just because, you know, in like moments like this where it's, I believe, 80 something degrees today. It was 90 something on Monday, and I thought about filming this on Monday, but I was like, you know, let me wait and see if it gets any cooler during the week. But in times when the weather is like this, soft matte doesn't really help me. Okay, I need a matte foundation. I told you guys before, you know, don't think you need matte foundation, matte primer, matte this, blah, 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 blah. But if you find like one good matte thing in your routine that's going to keep your face matte, then you can, you know, play around with the other products, the other finishes, other products that you use. But it's a whole face of one brand, and this is what my face is looking like a couple hours later. I did not blot at all. I do have some tissue here to see how blotting would go on camera. So let me just try my T-zone, which is where I get the oiliest there. And that is what it looks like after I blot my face. However, after I blot my face, it still looks pretty good for, you know, makeup that's been on almost 6 hours in this type of heat. So, you know, but there's quite a bit of color there on that tissue. So, you know, you might not want to be hugging all up on somebody, but I digress. I wouldn't say there were too many issues with blending this foundation out. However, it did not like my dry patches, like, at all. If this is the first video, my dry patches are in this area here around my nose, and a little bit, it depends on the time of the year, but sometimes a little bit here around my mouth. And like those, like, at all. I don't even think it took over here at all. Other places I was able to get, you know, some type of layer on them, but it didn't like those layers at all. But the rest of my face, which is where I have combo oily skin, combo being my T-zone is pretty oily, and the perimeter of my face is more so normal. There, it was easy to blend this foundation out. Yeah, let's just get into the color. I said before, you know, I picked the color that I picked based on the chart that Colourpop has on their site, and this is the chart, this is the color that they said would be best for me. And honestly, I'm not that surprised at the outcome because I've said it before. The reason I kind of fell back on using Fenty was because 450 has a more so darker, a more red undertone. So I could see why, if you exactly match to this, why you would exactly match to this, because this is pretty red of an undertone. And I noticed that as soon as I put this on, before I put the concealer on. However, and I have mentioned it before about, you know, workable red orange undertones, and people are like, well, what does workable mean? Like, if it's a red undertone, workable, sis, means that, you know, yes, it might have more of a red undertone that doesn't really suit your skin type, but sometimes there are workable reds where, you know, the product that you put on top of it can kind of balance out the undertone. And I kind of felt like I got away with that a little bit when I finished my entire face. I feel like my face wasn't as red, you know, after the concealer, after the powders and all that other stuff. But hours later, it's back like, hello, I'm all up in your face. Can you see me? Yes or no? So I wasn't surprised at the undertone. You know, clearly this is a lot. This isn't workable red undertone at this point for me. This is just red. Now I believe the next shade down, 200, has more of a neutral undertone, but the thing with that is, you know, if you go too far down to a shade that technically doesn't match you, but the undertone does, then you might start looking a little gray. And this is a $12 foundation, so would I even bother going to see, you know, what the shade 200 would look like? Probably not, just because of the, you know, the finish of the foundation and this time of the year. During the winter, if I had tried this, you know, would I think like, oh, this is worth the hassle of trying out a different shade? Probably, just because in the winter my skin can do more so, you know, soft matte than it can right now. But right now, especially since, you know, I've been out in the sun, I'm already getting darker. I already need to buy like a deeper shade of the Cover FX Power Play, which is the one that you guys know has been my go-to lately, and that ain't a cheap foundation. So would I go through the hassle of getting the next shade down to even see, because I don't know if that's going to work, because technically according to their charts that wouldn't be my shade. Would I go through that? Probably not. I did feel like this had a nice finish, but it wasn't anything that I just feel like I'd be missing out if I didn't, you know, give a different shade a chance with this one. Now for the setting powders, I did get the translucent and medium deep, and for the translucent, I feel like it did a good job. It did a better job as to where I'm more impressed with the Colourpop concealer this time around. One of the things that I've said I don't really care for that concealer is that it does crease quite a bit in this area, so I feel like this powder did a good job at setting it enough to the point where it's not creasing as much as it has in past times when I've used it. It's not replacing my Beauty Bakery setting powder, but I do feel like this is a good affordable one, and I will use this one again. The medium deep, same thing. I do feel like that's a good powder. I would want to see how that one would look and work in my usual face routine type of thing there, just to see how that color compares, because the one I've been using now, I cannot spill everything that's on this table here. The one I've been using now is the Milani setting powder, which they're both affordable, but this is what the both of them look like. So I would want to try this one in my regular routine of makeup, but I do like this one. And again, because, you know, I'm wearing a foundation that isn't, you know, exactly matte, and, you know, I'm wearing a primer that I'm not really that here for primer water, because I don't really feel like it does anything to your face. I mean, I tried it out, it was refreshing, I guess, on my face, but I don't really feel like it helped like prime my face in any way. Like, if I'm looking for primers, I'm looking for primers that are going to help control my oil, that are, you know, hydrating to my face, and, you know, I just felt like I just sprayed my face with some water. So I'm not going to rule that out just yet as a powder that has some oil control in it, because again, I feel like my face still looks decent for, you know, 6 hours in, given what I already said about the foundation and the primer. So we're just gonna have to test that one out again. I felt like I kind of went in on bronzer, but you know, it's not every day that I find a bronzer that I can actually try to begin with in a video, and I have been looking for bronzers lately, so you know, we'll give that one another try, and I'll use a little bit lighter of a hand with that one, but at least it showed, you know, at least it did something to my face. The blush, now it is a very, you know, natural blush. Like it's not a coral, it's not a pink. Like I got a blush for my skin tone, and I kind of like that one. It reminds me of the one that I've been using from Morphe that I can't find at the moment. So I'm here for the blush and the highlighter. I honestly think like the highlighter might be the biggest thing that I was the most impressed with out of this, you know, trying all these products. It's either the highlighter or the powders, but this highlighter, yes ma'am. And I don't even really like loose highlighters like that. The only other ones I like are the ones from Artist Couture, but I do feel like those and this one, especially if I were to have added Fix Plus before I use this one, you could see these from outer space. Your highlight will be popping the entire day. And it's not one of those loose highlighters where, you know, you try putting on your face and if you're trying to get highlighter here, you get highlighter here. You know, it's not one of those, which is why I don't typically like loose highlighters. So I really like the highlighter. And I think that is it for everything that I tried on my face today. And for my thoughts on Colourpop as a brand, I love Colourpop. I feel like they're one of my favorite, more affordable brands out there. I love the fact that you can go on Colourpop and kind of get whatever it is that you're looking for, or whoever you are as a makeup wearer. You know, if you're grungy, you can get that on Colourpop. If you're bright colors, you can get that on Colourpop. If you're neutral, you know, everyday look, office wear look, teacher type look, you can get that on Colourpop for an affordable price. However, I do feel like Colourpop can sometimes be a hit or miss. I've said several times, I actually am one of the people who like their matte lipsticks. I do know they're a little drying, but they're a drying matte lipstick that I will sit through, but I don't like their satin lips. Even the eyeshadow palette that I was talking about before, even like in that one eyeshadow palette, there were some shades that I feel were bigger hits than other shades, but you know, you just gotta have to make that work with that. The concealers I don't really care for, but I like the setting powders. And the foundation is not, it's not even to say that I don't like the foundation, I'm just indifferent on it. If this wasn't going to leave me, you know, with this undertone hours later, this would be one of the foundations I would just sit there and I would pick it up when I pick it up. Because this shade is how it looks on me, that's why I'm not going to bother, you know, getting a different shade, because I know even if I did get a shade that was more correct on me, it's not so much that I just flat out don't like it. I just know that it's just going to sit there and be used whenever I remember that it's there, or if I just can't find anything else. And to me, that's not really, you know, that's not really something that I could just sit here and be like, oh my gosh, yes, like it's the best, go get it. Do I think, you know, that there are people who will like this a lot more? Absolutely. I'm just not one of them. So that is it for this video. I hope seeing this on my face and hearing some of my thoughts has helped. If you're thinking of trying any of this out for yourself, make sure to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Wait a minute. Let me go ahead and insert somewhere here that flash test real quick. Y'all thought I forgot, but I got you. All right, now I'm gonna go.